Hello everyone, this is Komal and today we are going to discuss chapter 1 of civics class 9, our constitution. So I will start this chapter with the definition of constitution. What is the date of adoption of our constitution, the date of enforcement and its significance. So first one, the definition part, the Constitution of India came into effect on 26th January 1950. You already know about this, when India became a sovereign democratic republic. Next is, what is the meaning of Constitution? It is a comprehensive document containing the set of rules that describe the rights and duties of its citizens and the manner according to which the governance of the country is to be carried out. The set of rules in a document form, that is the constitution form. It regulates the position and power of the three organs of the government. First organ is legislative, next is executive, and third one judiciary. These are the three main organs which are regulate according to the constitution. It assumes special importance as it moderate relations between the government and the governed, the ruling party. Then further, it protects the interest of the citizens by restraining the government and from taking arbitrary decisions. The aim of the constitution of the nation is to ensure smooth governance for the welfare of. It's very important. What is the aim of constitution? The aim of the constitution is to ensure smooth governance for the welfare of the citizens, for the benefit of citizens. Next is, what is the difference between the principles of constitution distinguish a constitutional or democratic government from an absolute monarchy or the dictatorship. It is giving the difference between the democratic government and dictatorship. By the principles of constitution we can get the idea what is the difference between both. Next is the enactment of the Indian Constitution. Enactment means, we have studied in the freedom movement of India that cabinet mission arrived in India in 1946 and put forward a set of proposals to meet the demands of freedom fighters. So afterward, one of these proposals involved setting up of constituent assembly whose members were to be elected indirectly by the provincial legislative assembly, the lower house only. Then elections to be the provincial assembly were completed by July 1946 and the provincial states were represented by the members nominated by the rulers of these states. Then the Constituent Assembly of Undivided India consisted of 389 members. The formation are 292 elected and 93 nominated by the princely states, 3 from Chief Commissioner provinces and 1 from the British. The Constitution of India was framed by the Constituent Assembly. The enactment means the framing of the Indian Constitution. Provinces and 1 from the British. The Constitution of India was framed by the Constituent Assembly. The enactment means the framing of the Indian Constitution. So by this process they frame out the Constitution of India. Now the formation of Constituent Assembly, how the formation happened, how that assembly was formed. The first sitting of the Constituent Assembly was held on December 9, 1946 and it was held at the present Central Hall of Parliament and was presided over by Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, the oldest sitting member of Central Assembly. And on December 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of Constituent Assembly. Then Muslim League boycotted the Constituent Assembly to demand the creation of separate state called Pakistan, and consequently the members representing the territories which went to Pakistan withdraw from Constituent Assembly of India, and afterward because of that result the membership of Constituent Assembly of India stood at 299 against the original number of 389 members, and of these 284 were actually present on November 26, 1949 and appended their signature to the constitution as finally passed. Dr. Rajendra Prasad continued to be the president of Constituent Assembly of India, and between December 9, 1946 and August 14, 1947 the assembly held 5 sessions. Before in between they getting 5 session for the verification of Constituent Assembly for the constitution. Then composition of the Constituent Assembly. here is the composition, how it is composed of. The wide ranging membership of Constituent Assembly gave representation to all shades of public opinion, and the cabinet mission plan had ensured representation to only 3 categories. These are the 3 categories: the general category, Muslims, and the Sikhs. The Congress leaders had, however, ensured that other communities like Anglo-Indians, Indian Christians, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes got representation. They just got representation, but they are represented only the 3 categories. The Anglo-Indians were represented by Mr. Frank Anthony and Mr. S.H. Prather. The Indian Christians by Dr. H.C. Mukherjee and Joseph D'Souza, and the Parsis by Dr. H.P. Modi. The Muslim League had boycotted the assembly, and there were still 2 members, Jafar Imam and Muhammad Sadullah. These are the 2 persons, they were present for the assembly, but others boycotted. So who represented the Muslim community? Muslim community was represented by these 2 members, Jafar Imam and Muhammad Sadullah. The Sikhs were represented by Sardar Hukam Singh and Ujjal Singh. It can be said that the Constituent Assembly was truly national in character, because these 3 communities were there at that time. Here are the objective resolutions for that assembly part. When Constituent Assembly started the work of drafting the constitution, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru proposed the objective resolution on December 13, 1946. The resolution highlighted the objectives. These are the objectives, or you can say the national goals. First is free India will be nothing but a republic. First was, this is very important, these 4 are very important. The first is free India, that will be republic. Next is the ideals of social, political and economic democracy would be guaranteed to all the people. Next is the republic would grant fundamental rights to the citizens. And fourth is the state would safeguard the rights of minorities and backward classes. There should be safeguard rights for all the minority classes and backward classes. Then the objective resolution was passed by the Constituent Assembly on January 22, 1947. Then drafting committee. One drafting committee also was formed. The Indian Independence Act 1947, by which 2 independent states of India and Pakistan were created, and recognized the existence of Constituent Assembly of India. This legal sanction enabled the Constituent Assembly to function after India's independence. The legal sanction, they were signed on the they legally signed that document that Constituent Assembly will function after the Indians' independence. The assembly became a sovereign body. To the Indian Independence Act 1947, by which 2 independent states of India and Pakistan were created, and recognized the existence of Constituent Assembly of India. This legal sanction enabled the Constituent Assembly to function after India's independence. The legal sanction, they were signed on the they legally signed that document that Constituent Assembly will function after the Indians' independence. The assembly became a sovereign body. To carry on its work, it appointed 8 committees. They were appointed 8 committees. The drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was set up on August 29, 1947, and was entrusted with the task of drafting the constitution. Next is Dr. Ambedkar's contribution to the Indian Constitution. He was the person who drafted the Indian Constitution. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, popularly known as the Baba Sahib, and was one of the architects of the Constitution of India, and he was an eminent jurist, economist, politician, social reformer. These are the basic the qualities of this famous person, Baba Sahib Ambedkar. The text of the constitution prepared by Baba Sahib provided for constitution guarantees and protections for a wide range of civil liberties for individual citizens, including freedom of religion, the abolition of untouchability, social rights for women, and a system of reservation of job, very less job for those who are getting very less respect in society. In order to shape India into a complete sovereign democratic republic in which the liberty and dignity of individual is ensured, along with national integrity, Baba Sahib incorporated the following principles in the Constitution of India. First one is made the Indian Constitution workable, flexible, and strong enough to hold the country together both in peace and in war. So they are making the Indian Constitution as much strong that will bind all citizens of country into a one way. Then provided special safeguards to the minorities and certain classes who are socially and educationally backward. They are making safeguards, special conditions for the minorities, those who are facing very difficulty in society. Incorporated the right to constitutional remedies to ensure that the fundamental rights of individuals are not infringed by the center or the state government. Single citizenship, single judiciary, and uniformity in fundamental laws to integrate Indian society. Therefore, he proposed a strong center to maintain territorial integrity and administrative discipline. Incorporated directive principles to ensure social and economic democracy and welfare of the people of India. So these are the basic factors which are created for the welfare of people. Next is reading part. The draft reading happened in 3 phases, clause by clause. First reading on November 4th, 1948. Afterwards, second reading happened on October 17, 1949, and the final and third reading was completed November 26, 1949. What is the time taken for this constitution pass? There approximately nearly about 3 years for the Constituent Assembly to finally pass the constitution, and at the signing time it was having 395 articles and 8 schedules. Now the implementation of constitution. After the signing of constitution, only the clauses related to citizens and some other came into force immediately, and this was to enable persons to displaced as a result of the partition to register themselves as a Indian citizens. The Constitution was adopted and passed by the Constituent Assembly on November 26, 1949, but the constitution was a whole came into force with effect from January 26 and 1950. So that's why we are celebrating January 26 as a Republic Day. With the coming into force of Constitution, C. Rajagopalachari became the Governor General, and he replaced Lord Mountbatten. And the Constituent Assembly became the provincial parliament until the new general elections were held in 1951 and 52. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was the president of Constituent Assembly, took over as the president of Indian Union. Now the significance of January 26. The date January 26, 1950 for commencement of the constitution was specially selected because of its historical importance. At the Lahore session of Congress held in December 1929, a resolution was passed which declared Purna Swaraj or complete independence to the objective of Congress, and January 26, 1930 was fixed as the first Independence Day. So that's why they adopted this date for the Constitution, which was to be celebrated every year. Since then, the day was celebrated as Independence Day up to 1947. On achieving independence, 15 August 1947 became the Independence Day, and January 26 was designed as a Republic Day. Here are the fact file for this chapter. You have to read it by your own, and if you will get any query, you can ask me through comment section. I hope you understand this chapter. Thank you.